Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to look at piecewise functions and how to evaluate them. What you're going to want to have on you today, you're going to want your notes, calculator, and then also a pencil. So your learning target, given a piecewise function, I can evaluate for a specific x value. So, what is a piecewise function? We kind of looked at these already. Basically, a piecewise function is made up of pieces of different functions which are a result of their different domains. So, in real life, this is basically what a piecewise function is. At a job, you make $8.50 per hour up to 40 hours. But after 40 hours, you make time and a half. So, at 40 hours, we switch the way we calculate your pay to a new function. So basically this would look like this. So from y equals 8.50x for hours 40 or less, but when we go over 40, we would use 12.75 times x. So that's time and a half. So piecewise functions allows us to break a domain up into pieces into different functions. So basically they're not all just straight lines. They're going to look like two straight lines that come together that actually are put together. So, math notation for this would look something like this. So y equals 8.50x, which is x is less than or equal to 40, because we said 40 hours or less, and 1275, x is greater than 40. Now, what are we going to work on today? We're going to work on evaluating piecewise functions. We need to know what are you going to do when you need to plug in things. So, what you first need to do is you need to figure out the number they want us to plug in. Well, they want us to plug in 5, it looks like. Then you need to look at these if statements first. So you're going to want to look at these guys first. Where would 5 fall? Is it 5 less than 3 or 5 greater than or equal to 3? Well, it's greater than 3. So once you figure that out, which one if statement it lands, then you get to plug into the value, or into the equation to the left of that. So 1/2 times 5 plus 1. So I'll get 5.5, so 7.5, or 3.5, depending on how you want to do that. What about f of -4? So we're going to look at our x values here, our if statements. Well, I know -4 is less than 3, so it looks like I need to plug into this statement. So 2, absolute value of -4 plus 4 minus 2. Well, -4 plus 4, that's 0, and the absolute value of 0 is 0. So I'm going to get 2 times 0 minus 2, or 0 minus 2, which is minus 2, right? What about f of 3? Well, this one might confuse you guys a little bit. We've got to look for this equal sign there. So it looks like we're going to plug in the 3 into this function. So 1/2 times 3 plus 1. So that would be 3.5 plus 1, or 5.5. Not too bad, right? Let's try it again. So I have this function here, and I need to figure out which pieces are going to allow me to evaluate these specific parts of my domain. So we have -2. Where does -2 fall in our if statements? So it falls in this one, right? Because -2 is less than 4. So it looks like I need to plug into that function. So 2 times -2 squared plus 1. So that's 2 times a positive 4 plus 1. Which is 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1. That's 9. So my answer's got to be 9. What about 8? 8 is not less than 4, so it doesn't go in there. 8's not between 4 and 7, but 8 is greater than 7. And my function's just 3. My answer must be 3. Just because I don't have an x, can't plug in the 8, so my answer is just 3. What about 4? Well, this is only when it's less than 4, so I can't use that. But this looks like it's when it's equal to 4, so it looks like we're going to plug into this. So 4 times 4 plus 2/3, and I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to leave that as 16 and 2/3. Now, what about if I give you a graph? This is not as hard as you think it is. So they want us to know what is the y value when my x is -6. So on our graph, we're going to find -6 on our x-axis, and then we're going to go up until we hit the function. Boom, right there, right? What y value is that? So I'm going to go over here with find my y value. Boom. Looks like it's 5. So I know my answer for -6 is equal to 5. Let's check 1 out. So I'm going to find 1 on my axes. So right here, we're going to go up until we hit our function. Boom. Now let's go over to the y-axis to see what our answer is. 3. So my answer must be 3. Let's try -1. So here's -1 on my x. Let's go down until we hit something. Oh, there's something. Now notice I went down because there's nothing upstairs. So I got to go downwards. And if I go across, that is the x value of, or the y value, excuse me, of -7. I think graphs are even easier than when I'm giving the actual equations because it's a lot easier just to kind of picture the lines in your mind. And that's the end of this video. See you later, Sabers.